The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Yes, we are on stage for the K4Wins. This is our national championship show. We do shows every Tuesday and Friday morning, 10 o'clock Central, right here on Tony Kurre Radio. Get that TKR app wherever you see, of course, your Facebook page, not to mention YouTube pages. We're live on all those things, not to mention all the social media platforms. And again, a nice relationship we have with Digital Coastal. They do wonderful work. They're out of Florida, and they have us all over the place as well. And that's why you can see us right now with Keefer to my left, Executive Director, Chief Editor, if you will, the Las Vegas Sun, does wonderful work. Below him, we have Gregory, who's been a friend of mine for 40 years and has been playing both sides of the fence for a long period of time and knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes down to numbers, including team members. And, of course, my man, the myth, not quite the legend, but he's getting there. Keefer, of course, he's been everywhere. If you turn the radio on or television, you'll see his mug on somewhere during the week around the Birmingham metro area.
Poor Devils.
Thank God he's not the legend.
We all have the Facebook video this morning, for sure. So we got that. I did have a little another wager because I lost the wager against the Texans last weekend. I'll start with Case right off the bat. He wanted to double up. He wants to go for 50, and so I gave him his $40 back for the steak dinner. I thought we were going to take each other out. You know, normally when you make a steak dinner bet, you take each other out. I gave him his $40 back. He started saying, "Who do you like? Who do you like? Who do you like?" Every time I pick the team, so I got the Pats minus 2.5 against the Houston. I'm going against the Houston Texans again. What do you say about my Pats minus 2.5 coming up here? 12-5 against the spread against the Houston Texans this weekend.
Well, I can't hate on it because you got a great number. I mean, they're like a juice 3 everywhere. 3.5. And Nico Collins is probably going to get ruled out here shortly today, and they might go to 3.5. So that's a great price. I stubbornly, personally, kind of like the Texans side. I bet some Texans money line at a better price than 2.5. I don't know. It's probably what I said Monday, but I do think there's something to the Patriots have just not played like a single good pass defense, both in the secondary and one that can rush the passer. And I just feel like the Texans have enough that they can harass Drake May and the Patriots. But we'll see. If you were giving me 2.5, again, I'm the guy with ultimate respect for the market, an NFL playoff game at this point. I mean, we can see how much money's been bet on these exchanges now publicly going into games. You put out all the books in the world. I mean, there's probably $100 million on this game already, and it says the number should be almost 3.5, and you got 2.5. So I kind of feel like you hustled poor legend, who I don't know, but you guys paint.
Well, you know, and he actually said I got him plus 2.5, and I was like, dude, I can't do that to him. I can't do it. This sort of bastard. I can't. He's like, I'll give you 2.5, a plus 2.5. I said, no, man, you're actually getting 2.5 here. So because they're
you got to take advantage of stupidity, Tony. Come on now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dyslexic better is a good guy to have on the hook.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you watch,
hey, I got a question. What are the Coach of the Year numbers? Because who should get Coach of the Year over Vrabel or Ryans?
I think Vrabel's probably going to win it. I mean, God, there were so many good candidates this year. I was on Liam Cohen, and I feel like if they just don't blow one more game, if they don't blow that Texans game, if they had no business when they were starting Davis Mills, he's probably the 1 seed and wins it. But man, there were some great candidates. Ben Johnson is a really good candidate, but I think Vrabel's going to end up getting it.
Yeah, there's 7 or 8 guys that are deserving.
Yeah, there is, and despite that, we have nine teams that are looking for coaches right now, including the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers, which is pretty amazing, going for their 4th coach since 1969, which is pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's set our sights on the national championship game coming up on Monday night. It is sticking tight around 8.5. It blew up to 8.5. It's sitting there. The over-unders come down to 47.5. Let's start with Keefer. Anything changed in this game? Have you seen anything? We're keeping up on the reports and everything else. I was trying to think of a sly quarterback question, and my question was going to be whoever throws for more yards, Carson Beck or Fernando Mendoza, wins the football game. Yes or no on Monday night?
I mean, that's probably a pretty good measurement. I would say that would be pretty. I would be inclined to say yes. Whoever has the most success in the aerial game is going to win. And I think the quarterback matchup. You know, I know it's the Heisman Trophy winner, but I've said throughout the playoffs that Carson Beck is being really undersold here. The guy's been on the big stage, as a starter. His record, I don't have it exactly, but it's something in the neighborhood of 43-5. Anybody who discounted Carson Beck, it's just amazing how much baggage he carried into the playoffs, because he's had two really horrendous games in his entire career. The game at Oxford last year against Ole Miss, which he atoned for in their return match, and of course the game earlier this year against Louisville at home, where everything went wrong for Miami. He threw 4 and actually 5 interceptions because one of them was overturned by a questionable roughing the quarterback call. But the guy's solid. The guy can deliver, and now he's introduced a new aspect to his game. Carson Beck has been so hesitant to pull the ball down and run his whole career. He always is one of these quarterbacks that believes he can make any throw. He can throw it through a Dixie cup at 80 yards, and he tries to make those throws, and that's what gets him in trouble. But if you watch the game in his last performance, I mean, he actually used his legs and made huge plays, including the game-winning touchdown. And at Georgia, that was something he was never really very anxious to do. He did run the ball effectively in a couple spots against Tennessee last year that helped Georgia win that game in 2024. But overall, he's been very reluctant to do that. And I think sort of the metamorphosis of Carson Beck has been pretty astounding. I want to say one thing. Everybody I talk to says, going to be a blowout, going to be over by halftime, Indiana's going to kill them. I just would like to submit this real quick. The head-to-head opponent they had in very recent times, Ohio State, Miami handled Ohio State much more thoroughly than Indiana did. I think 8.5 points is an absolute gift. I think this game goes down to the wire.
Wow. We were talking about the quarterbacks. Fernando Mendoza, his over-under 227.5. Carson Beck, almost 30 yards lower than that at $1.98. So there is some disparity there. Just because you're throwing the most yards doesn't mean I think you're going to win this football game. I do think a lot of it's going to be on Brian Haynes and his defensive schemes for Indiana and what they throw at Carson Beck early in that game, Kai, because you mentioned that he hasn't had a lot of bad games, but if you can get to him early and pressure him a little bit, he's a different type of quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to disagree with Kip. I don't think that throws for the most is necessarily going to win. I actually think Beck. I do think Indiana will win. I want Miami to win for my future, obviously, but Mendoza proved, hell, he threw for 5 touchdowns in the last game and only 175 yards.
But some of them are on a short field. Everybody keeps giving Indiana all the credit. The teams they've been playing have been self-destructive.
I don't think it's been self-destructive. I think not Oregon's defense. I think Indiana's defense had a lot to do with what happened against Oregon. I mean, Dante Moore didn't just drop the ball on his own. He got hit every time with
he ran into his running back. Yeah,
I think Indiana's defense is legit. Now Indiana doesn't do a whole lot of schemes. They are very basic, but they're very good at what they do. They don't make mistakes. They don't run this way and show the wrong thing.
They don't do a lot of schemes, but they are great. They are great at disguising their defense. They are incredible at disguising. You talk about schemes. I wouldn't say putting 8 guys in the line every single play is a scheme. I agree with you there, but they do disguise their defense.
You don't know who's
really
coming.
Yeah, you really don't. So that could be interesting. Case, if I'm wanting to play the over on one of these quarterbacks for over in their yardage, which one would I play?
I actually think it's just the opposite. I think that the team that loses is most likely to have more passing yards. I mean, look at Indiana. Mendoza has more touchdown passes than incompletions this playoffs, and he's gotten beat passing yards wise in I think both games because they just kill people and don't have to throw the ball anymore. Both these teams are, despite Mendoza winning the Heisman, I know he's gotten some crap for his stats not being that big. Part of the reason his stats aren't that big is because he was sitting the second half of a lot of these games. Indiana, and they're really not a throw first team. This is more kind of a throwback offense that tries to win the line of scrimmage. So I feel like whoever throws for more is going to be the team playing from behind, which most likely is Miami, but could be Indiana too. As far as passing yards over because of that, and I dug through everything yesterday, and I don't remember the passing yard totals. I hope I'm wrong. I think the number's just about right. I said it on Monday. I've got a big Miami future, so I'm really hoping they can pull it off. I'm just not all that confident. I think it's more likely they're playing from behind. Because they're the team more likely playing from behind, you're getting like a 25-yard discount on Carson Beck. I think I'd be more inclined to play Carson Beck overs, but It's not something I played either way. I dug through all the props yesterday and bet about 4 already. I didn't really toe into either quarterbacks, although I did bet a little Mendoza to score a touchdown at 3-1. He hasn't run a whole lot in these first 2 games because, again, he hasn't needed to. Look at the game script. They're just absolutely destroyed Alabama and Oregon. So in Miami's rush defense has not been very good all year. So if there's a way I'm betting on Mendoza, and I hate betting rushing yards over in college games because obviously sacks count against you, and Miami's probably going to get a sack or 2 with their defense. I think Mendoza to score a touchdown maybe. I probably wouldn't be touching his passing over. Beck I would be a little more drawn to. Just I think it's really likely that they're playing from behind and have to throw the ball.
Kip, I want to throw this question at you first because I know early in the season you weren't a big Cignetti kind of guy, and he kind of rubs a lot. I think he rubs a lot of people wrong. I thought it was interesting. Like, why don't people like you? He's like, because I'm a winner, because I win football games, and he has done that certainly over the last couple of years. But if it comes down to coaching, Cignetti or Cristobal, and I know we don't have a lot of Cristobal fans either, who do you give the nod to there?
No, it was not even close. Cignetti far superior. My criticism of Cignetti wasn't so much the X's and O's or anything else. It was just not a real thorough history to talk about. We know Cristobal's history. He has snatched defeat from the jaws of victory numerous times. Cignetti, with the squad that he's put together and the way they play, the coaching check mark is clearly in Cignetti's column in terms of he's got a team that he has built the personnel to execute what he wants done, and they do it as well as anybody. So I don't think that's even a doubt. I think Cristobal a lot of times plays not to lose, and I think more times there's plenty of examples of that, blowing up in his face when the most adamant Miami fan on earth, the co-star with Legend on our Fanatical podcast on Keefer Sports, he still wants Cristobal gone at the end of the year, despite the fact he's playing for the national championship. That tells you everything you need to know.
And that is I need to know, which, by the way, is a show on Tony Kurre Radio. You can hear that 5 days a week, at least 5 days a week, and also wherever you get your favorite podcast. One of 2 shows that Keefer does on Tony Kurre Radio, the Keefer and Kurre Show, and Need to Know. Case, is there anything that's out there? And I know that you see the big movers, you call them the whales, whatever, but you see the big movers and where the money's gone. Is there any lurking or any whispering of any major line movements, say 2 or 3 hours before this game kicks off on Monday, or is it status quo?
Yeah, I haven't really even heard a whole lot about really big bets this time around. I think maybe people are like me, and like I said, I made this game 8.5. It's mostly 8.5. I feel like the market's super efficient. I think we kind of touched on this Tuesday, and I said the same thing. I think if there is a move, it's going to be towards Miami. I just do that based on the first 3 games of the playoff. Like, Miami has taken money close to kickoff every single game. Obviously, it's come through. And Indiana, it's been kind of the opposite. I know it wasn't a big move in the Alabama game, but there was a little bit of money on Alabama, which I couldn't believe. I kept saying I loved Indiana. And then I kind of got spooked last round because a lot of money came in on Oregon. It got to the point where I ended up picking Indiana and still bet them. But I was really waffling just because it really seemed like the big money was on Oregon last round. Now, this doesn't necessarily translate 1-to-1. Clearly you have to up. I argued that Indiana should have been upgraded more after the Alabama game. I think clearly you got to upgrade them even again against Oregon. They really do have that look of these teams the last several years that have just stomped everyone. I mean, the favorite is covered in the national championship game, I think 5 straight years. And a lot of those teams have just looked a level above everyone. And all year I spent saying there's no team that's a level above everyone. There's 15 teams that are in the same striking range. Right now, if you want to go by, recent precedent, I mean, Indiana does seem like they've separated themselves, and those teams have really rolled in the championship game lately. But I still think there's a chance this closes 7.5. And some Miami money comes in late.
We'll give you our plays, and of course the NFL coming up. We got NHL to get into, NBA, as well as a lot of college hoops. Not any games tonight, but full slate on Saturday. So we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. That should be really interesting. Kai, I wanted to ask you too. We've been hammering on the ACC all year for good reason. Certainly Clemson, one of those teams. My son goes there. He just hated the fact they had a shitty season. Hopefully they'll be back next year with Klubnik gone. But that being said, how important is it for Miami to win this game for the ACC, despite the fact they had one of the worst seasons as a conference in the history of that conference?
They got to the finals, so they've done their job. But I mean, who would have thought that? I mean, are we coming close to the apocalypse? Is the end of the world coming? Indiana, that until this year was the losingest team in college football, is an 8.5-point favorite in the national championship game. Welcome to portal NIL mania.
Yep.
The world has changed, fellas. That was the theme of our show last week that's gone viral on social media, and everybody's reacting to it because it's almost like a slap in the face. Everybody who watches college football all of a sudden woke up one morning recently and said, what the hell's going on? Everything's different. I mean, it's transition. We are in the new era. It's not just free agency and player movement. It's unlimited ability for players to just, move on, play a different school every year for 4 or 5 years, guys playing 6 and 7 year careers. It's just bizarro land. And, we had an equal amount of people saying, well, this is just the natural evolution. These guys should deserve, they deserve to get paid. This, free market society. But there's no league, professionally it ranks even, where you just have total freedom of movement. The leadership of college football has let this not only out of Pandora's box, but they've put it on steroids before it left because it's the Wild West. Somebody's got to get some definition and some clarity to the system here because it's just totally out of control. Thereby, I can't wait to see preseason polls next year because you have no idea. This is year to year. You can have a team rise up from nobody if they just make a couple of the right moves.
And we'll do that Keefer Best 12 kicking off the season next year. That's going to be fun because to compare our lines early in the season to what it is. And you really need to know your nuts next year because, with the NIL, not only that, but you just need to know where your players are going, where players are going. By the way, last time these two teams played each other was the year I was born, 1966. Miami won that game 14-7. They're tied in the series 1-1, which I think is interesting. Miami, of course, playing for their 9th national championship. We know all about Indiana.
Hold on. Yep. You're about to turn 60?
Yeah, I'm turning 60 in March 7th.
Wow.
I know, and it's hitting me hard, brother. This is my year, though. I'm telling you, 60 and 26, this is the year that all the alignment starts coming. The hoochie mamas start hanging around the house again. The cats are prowling. Man, it's going to be a great year. I'm going to get back into the strip clubs. I'm doing a Christian show. It's going to be fantastic. I'm hitting everything.
I don't think those two go together, Tony. Strip clubs and Christian show.
Yeah. Tony is a walking paradox.
From strip clubs to Bible study, Tony Kurre on 101.1 The Truth. Let me ask this then. Are there any futures out for next year yet, Case?
I've heard they've been posted a couple places, and I have not looked. Actually, it's something I do want to do. But I want to do before Monday night, so I'll definitely have a better answer for you Tuesday. But I think I've heard there's 2 books in Vegas that have posted them.
Okay, and with that being said, we're always looking for value here. Are you going to start seeing more bet horrors start taking more 50 to 60 to 71 plays because of the NIL and just how crazy it is? And we've got Indiana, Miami playing for a national championship. Miami, not so surprising, but they're a 10 seed. I don't think people thought that was going to happen. Although, I will say, when Keefer and Keefer both had Miami as a team that could win a national title going in, one of 14.
And it's all about, no matter how much the game changes, one thing stays the same. Football games still, no matter how ridiculous the system might be, still it's the defensive and offensive fronts. The battle in the trenches still determines football game outcomes. And anybody who looked at Miami knows they've got outstanding individual personnel on both of those units, while Indiana's also outstanding in that area, but not so much for the individuals, just the way that they've bought in and execute the plan every week. Both of these teams are absolutely dynamite solid on the front lines, and that's why they're playing for the national championship.
Okay, yeah, they had 47 seniors coming back, another 47 that were juniors that played on teams back in 2022. They've got a lot of, I don't want to say leadership. I think that was one thing that really hurt Alabama this year. They just didn't have a good leader. I don't think Ty Sims is a great leader. They just didn't have good leadership. Indiana's got more leadership than they know what to do with, and they got a Heisman Trophy quarterback Fernando Mendoza, who obviously is the leader of the offensive side of the ball. But I'm wondering now with Cignetti and what he's done, signs the 10-year deal. Do we need to start putting Indiana in with Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State? Do we need to start putting them in the top 4, top 5 every year now in the Big Ten, Kai?
But they're not going to have the same team every year. These guys are almost ready for.
No, but I mean, if you're playing for a national championship, their recruiting is going through the roof. They're top 10 recruiting right now. They're going to get a lot of players. A lot of people want to play for a winning program.
I say there's no doubt, yes. We kind of are complicating this. Number two, I said this Tuesday too, but I'm way higher on Josh Hoover at this time now than I was and I liked Fernando Mendoza at this time last year. I mean, Hoover, I don't see them falling much down last year, but we're reaching for all these straws, and I agree a lot of them fit of why this has happened. But at the end of the day, at the beginning of the year, and we don't have the exact numbers, but you said write down the 10 teams that have the biggest budget to spend on their roster. Both of these teams would have been in there. I mean, we talked about it last year. Indiana got so much money at the end of last year with Cuban. As I think everyone's learned on this base, they have the largest living alumni base. They have so much money in that program. Like the famous words of Wu-Tang, cash rules everything around me. I know it's hard getting used to, but Indiana has it just money's no object to them. It's been no object to Miami forever. They're out offering guys $6 million. These are two of the most well-funded programs, and to me, that's the biggest bar of if you're going to be able to keep it up.
Going to Miami, any decent ticket to the game, I'm talking about anywhere where you can actually see the field, it's in the range of $7,000 to $7,500 per ticket. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. The entire state of Indiana, who's never had this experience, is going to be in Miami. It's in Miami's home stadium, but it's going to be 85% Indiana fans.
I talked to
and cold.
I don't think I can say who it is, but you could probably figure it out if you know my career kind of Las Vegas. But I talked to someone who's a pretty big Miami booster, spent the day with him earlier this week, and he was saying right before the Indiana game that they wanted $1.8 million for the owner's box at Hard Rock, and he had his guys negotiate them down to $1 million. So he'll be in the owner's box that I showed on TV for $1 million. And then when Indiana won, it shot up, and now all the boxes around him are going for at least $1.5 million. He's got the owner's box for $1 million.
Nice. Case, how many teams are in the CFP next year? 12, 16, or 24? Case, I want to go.
The meeting is actually Sunday. Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you. 12, 16, or 24?
You guys do a better job of keeping up with this this news type stuff, so you probably have a better answer than me. I had not thought about it for 1 second till now. I do think the next step will probably be 16. Is it going to be next year? I have no indication. So I'll go boring and say it's 12 for another year, but I would not be surprised if we go to 16.
Big Ten coming out this morning in Stopgap. They said they'd be willing to go to 16 if the SEC wasn't willing to go to 24 just for a season to see how it works. Kip, what do you think? You're seeing 12, 16, or 24?
I think we're going to go to 16. The Big Ten has now been lining up the small conferences to get them excited about the 24 plan. The Big Ten's backed off the 5 automatic qualifier thing and now is going with the top 24, just the best teams. But the problem was with going with the quote best teams. Who's ranking those teams? What is it still going to be some bogus committee? It doesn't sound like a great solution to me. But there's enough pushback. They're trying to get Sankey and the SEC to agree to go. They'll go to 16 with the proviso that within 2 or 3 years, it'll be expanded to 24. 24 is just absurd. It only adds an extra week to the process because everybody would play then probably that first week. But I don't know. It's I'm almost certain, I'll say right now, categorically, from everything I've read and all my study of this, it's almost for sure going to be 16 next year.
I'm going with Kip Keefer's best 12 is what I'm going to go. Right next to the, what was it, the UPI? We had the UPI and we had the AP, and then the coaches poll came out when the USA Today came out, and then we got Kip Keefer's best 12. I'm going to the best 12, Kip Keefer's one.
And my broadcast partner, Terry Quillian, who does nothing but read everything that's ever written about this, I call her the wire service. I get at least 80 things a day on what's going on behind the scenes because that's what she's really into.
Hey, what's your thoughts, guys? And I'll throw it around. I know Case probably doesn't. He's in the middle of it, and it's not that he doesn't like to discuss these things. He just doesn't really have a lot to say about it because he does it from a professional standpoint. But right now, the NCAA looking into 24 different teams. It's getting bigger every single day. Over 40 players now involved, including one player who was given a $200,000 envelope that was typed in the back of a trash can to throw a basketball game. And these are the Sewanee States. I think the biggest team they mentioned was DePaul, which, of course, a lot of people know as far as in basketball goes. We're not talking about Indiana. We're not talking about Ohio States or Alabamas or Auburns. But we are talking about teams you can certainly bet on, Kai. And I think it's really interesting, the fact that we still have players that ain't making any NIL money, and they want their share. And if someone says, listen, you give me under 25 tonight, and I'm going to give you 200 grand, that's a hard nut not to take.
Well, I'm sure Kai's been tapped into that network. What do you say,
yeah.
Kai?
No doubt.
It's been going on for years. I'm sorry, it's been going on for decades. And yes, and the guys at the smaller schools are not getting paid, and so they're looking for a way to do it, to make their money. I mean, I don't want to say you can't blame them, because yes, you obviously can. And I hate the thought of throwing games or shaving points or any of that. But it happens, and it happens in every single sport all the time. They could bust so many. Now, maybe not on that scale, but even something as simple, and this affects gambling, as knowing that, let's say, Tony, you go down to UAB, you have conversations with them. 4 kids, or the flu is going through UAB, and nobody else knows that. That gives you an advantage. No, you're not giving somebody 25 grand to throw the game, but that gives you an advantage also.
By the way, I do have some hot news in the Tulsa game Sunday at 2:00. I'm just letting you know that that is the annual UAB baby race. By the way, they have like 16 babies that are like 1 to 2 years old, and they let the babies race the length of the court. It's fantastic. If for any other reason someone wanted to go, and the Blazers, by the way, have won 3 games on the road, not particularly good at home this year. So we'll see if hopefully we get a win against the Golden Hurricanes coming up on Sunday. Yeah, I think Vegas and I think gamblers have done a great job. I will say this. I think one thing that you need to nip this in the bud. You need to Barney Fife it. And one way to do that is pull back on the prop situation. Now we've got this, this Slashed Ashkey or the Pulley market. We got all these different betting things. Now you can bet on whether DeSantis is going to say the word red during a speech today. You can bet on whether Donald Trump takes a whiz to the left, to the right. I mean, it's just crazy what you can bet on. And I do think that as long as people are willing to take money for those things, a $200,000 nut to a kid that comes from an inner city school that knows he's not going to be playing at the next level is almost impossible not to take.
It's funny, Tony, that this current scandal is good old fashioned point shaving.
I know, right?
We haven't heard that lately. It's been all these, who's going to throw a ball or a strike, or all these, like you said, all these props. This is just the guy Blakeney, who's all involved in this. Supposedly in one game when he was averaging 32 points, all of a sudden he dropped off to 11, and his team not only didn't cover, they lost outright. So this is the good old fashioned kind. But real quick, and I'd be interested because Case is so numbers oriented, and Kai pours over all this too. For a lot of casual bettors, to me, I know when I used to go to Florida a lot, I loved going to watch highlight. It was a great betting sport. It's exciting. Every point matters. And people say, how can you bet highlight? Those games are fixed. It's obviously crooked as hell. But I always said the same thing. I have just as good a chance to be on the guy who's fixed. I have no idea. I have just as good a chance to stumble onto a winner if a game is even crooked. And I think in some cases, especially with casual bettors, that's probably the case in a point shaving situation.
The one thing that Pete Rose took to his grave was that he never bet against his team or himself. He never bet against his team. He said, I always bet for the Reds. I always bet on myself to go 4 for 5. And that's the one part about this that is deplorable and excusable, ugly, because it not only affects, of course, your playing line, but affects everyone on your basketball team. If you're missing shots on purpose to make money, that is sick. I mean, I'm sorry, that's right up there with child abuse to me, man. I'm just like, I have a serious issue with that. Now, if someone says, listen, I'm feeling really good tonight and I feel 30 plus, and you want to give me a prop line on something like that, and who knows, whether he gets the basketball enough to even score 30. But when you sit there, it's too easy to do. When you're averaging 26 and 5 a ball game and someone says, hey, can you give me a 2-1 on a triple double tonight, to know that you could throw that game off and hedge it the other way and make money doing it, this, I think, is deplorable, because it really gets to the integrity of the game. If everyone's betting on themselves to win, it's called the NBA. They have a tournament out there in Vegas every year. They win based on, if they win more money. Good for them. That's the way it should be. So it's great stuff. All right, let's do it. Give me your prediction and why. Kip Keefer for the national championship game coming up on Monday night. Right now it is 8.5 and 47.5. The Indiana Hoosiers are favored to win the 2026 CFP.
I'm taking the points. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Miami's actually a viable matchup here. That in the trenches, again, they match up very favorably. And I don't think Miami's going to be so cooperative as Oregon, with 4 or 5 turnovers, 4 of them inside the 20-yard line, including the first play of the game. Talk about a tone center, pick 6, 7-0, 8 seconds into the game. Alabama, the Ty Simpson follies, sliding and not getting a first down. The coaching staff doubling down on that with a jet sweep, give them the ball at the 34-yard line. The very next series, Simpson tries to make up for it by fighting for extra yardage, completely unfounded, gets his rib broken, fumbles the ball, 2 scores automatically for Indiana with fumbles in plus territory. I don't think they're going to be the beneficiary of all that charity from Miami. I think Miami's going to line up and it's going to be a real strong physical football game. And I would not be shocked at all to see Indiana win this game, but I'm thinking, something and I don't think there'll be a lot of points either. I think this is going to be more like the Indiana-Ohio State game. People forget that game was 13-10. That was a defensive struggle. And I think these teams have the capacity to have that kind of game. I don't think it'll be 13-10, but I wouldn't be least bit surprised to see at the end of the day Indiana winning 20-17, something along those lines. So Miami with the points and under for Kip Keefer.
Hurricanes and under. What you got, Kai?
I've been loving the over in this game, and then it's been bet down quite a bit. I kind of wanted to take under 24.5 in the first half. Now that line's down to 23.5. I don't know. My futures there. If I can get below 7, I might take Indiana for some fun. But right now, I'm probably just going to sit back, honestly, and watch the game and root for my future.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to give us a prediction on it at all?
You know what? One of the best things you can do sometimes as a gambler is not bet, especially when you don't get a number that favors you.
Yeah, I cannot believe that you're not going to be playing any action on the national championship game on Monday. You're so full of shit. Case Keefer, what you like, baby? Give it to me.
Go Canes. I sure hope they can pull it off. I'm like Kai. I have the big future, so I'm really going to be rooting for Miami. I'm hoping they can get out to a lead, and then I can play some back on Indiana and just have a little bit of an ARB, a little way to lock in money. I just think with the price they are right now, like a minus 320 favorite's the best you can find on the money line. There's just no way I could hedge that. I'd be hedging basically to either break even or have a small loss because, the way I do this portfolio wise, I have like 6 or 7 other teams. So I won't be hedging going into the game. I also only like to hedge if there's value on that side. And I don't necessarily think there's value on Indiana. I really grappled with which side to pick in my column, which runs Monday, by the way. I break down the game, 15 words, break it down from every angle. I ended up saying Miami was a guess, especially in Vegas. There's still a book with a 9, especially at 9.5. They would be the play. So I'll say Miami slides in the back door. I wish I could say I had more confidence. I just don't. I feel like Indiana will win, unfortunately. So I'll go with Indiana to win. Miami covers, slides in the back door. I actually have the lines moved down enough that I do kind of show a little value on the over. I made it just a touch over 48, which is kind of where it opened. Now it got as low as the 46 some places in Vegas. However, that's another one I don't think I'll bet on going into the game. I actually kind of like the first half under. I think Kai just said it was down to 23.5. I know when I was writing my column yesterday, a few places in Vegas had a juice 24.5. And as much as I think it's over long term, I just, like I said earlier, both these teams are a lot more running oriented than people realize. Indiana is not like I think Mendoza would have had way better, more Heisman worthy stats if they were like a throw down field offense. They just weren't. They really like to pound yards out with Hindi and Black. We'll see if that works against Miami. And Miami, obviously, that's all they've done in the playoffs. So I don't know. First half under kind of interests me. Players I'm high on prop wise. I don't know. It feels square, and it's probably going to lose. But I just feel like I bet a lot against Malachi Toney in the Ole Miss game, just because they had so many guys. Thought they were going to use other guys. I had under 7.5 receptions. I had under whatever his receiving yards total were. They both cashed, but now I feel like it's crashed too far now. It's over under 5.5 receptions for this game. They've had an issue all year where they don't really look to him till too late. I just feel like they're going to throw everything they can and get their best players the ball. So I bet I'm pro Toney this game. I bet him over 5.5 receptions. I think I bet anytime touchdown plus 160, him to score the first touchdown. And Indiana's kind of been a spread the wealth too between Cooper and Surratt and their tight end, the guy who I can't remember his name. He's had a huge playoffs. But before every game, Surratt's been getting steamed up, and I think Surratt's clearly their best receiver. It's the last game. I feel like you're going to want the ball in the hands of your best players. So I am pro Surratt and Toney in the prop markets. I'm probably going to be fading Caden Black a little, maybe even fading Fletcher, although his numbers weren't quite as high as I. So I'm pro Surratt and pro Toney if you're looking to toe into the props.
So Indiana has a great year last year. They didn't play anybody. Then they kind of go through the same thing this year. And obviously they have looked fantastic, including proving it here in the CFP by scoring a cumulative 94-25 score against Alabama and Oregon, two of the best teams in college football. At least we thought they were.
Alabama's not one of the best teams in college football.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, they were a top 12 team, so they got in. You're right. They probably shouldn't have. Notre Dame's still smart after that. But I will say this. Indiana 11 times this year caused multiple turnovers in a game. They're the only team. The other team to do that was only 8 teams. So 11 times they will force the football. And, of course, turnovers are so huge in games that are this tight. I really like them to continue to do that. They'll make it a pick 6 like they did against Oregon the first play of the game. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I do think they're going to turn them over. I think they have a propensity to do that. I think Miami ranks 78th right now in turnovers throughout college football. And they rank 25th or better in every offensive category, period. And they rank in the top 10 in every defensive category, period. Every category, which is something that we've never seen before. I think Indiana's just rolling. That's why they look so machine-like. They don't make mistakes. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. They don't turn the football over. They have a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. It all points to me seeing Indiana slide and hitting maybe a 44-20 game. I mean, I don't even think it's close, and I hope it is. And I think for you guys, I'll be pulling for Miami just because I want to see you guys cash some futures. I have nothing on the game, but I think it may be an ugly ball game, and it's unfortunate that I feel that way. By the way, Miami was the only third school in the past 30 seasons to record 3 wins over SEC programs in the same year this year. Can you name the other 2 programs to do that? And obviously, we're talking teams that aren't in the SEC.
I have no.
Nebraska?
No, you're not going to get it. Clemson did it in 2016 and 2018, and Georgia Tech did it in 2016.
Wow.
Knocked out 3 SEC. So go make yourself a drink on that bet right there. See if you can find someone who can find Georgia Tech in 2016 knocking off 3 SEC squads. One only 3 times. Yeah, in the last 30 years. Some useless Tony Curry information that you can perhaps get a free drink out.
And they have not beaten Georgia since, by the way.
No, and they have not. Let's look at some NFL action. We got Bills, Broncos, Niners, Seahawks, Houston, Pats, and Rams, Bears. Kip, what's jumping out to you? We've already done a show on Tuesday. And, of course, we're getting ready for divisional playoffs, man. It gets super tight now. 1.5. We have a 7.5 in there, a 2.5, and a 3.5. What you like?
Yeah, these are all kind of fun matchups, and the first round of the NFL playoffs were really compelling and fun to watch. I don't really know how to read the Rams-Bear game. I've not been real high on the Rams. I loved Carolina last week to cover the spread, and they did it easily. Could have even won the game. It just shows what the margin is. This was an 8-9 team hosting the team that, if they could have won at the end of the year, had a chance to be the number one seed, the Rams, and the Rams barely escaped Charlotte. And the Bears are just on one of those kind of magical things. I don't think the Bears are that good, but gosh, it's hard for me to see the Rams, rallying back after winning in North Carolina, going all the way back to Chicago and playing in subarctic conditions. I've not been a Bears guy all year, but I find myself thinking the Bears are probably going to win this game because I just don't know how healthy the Rams are. And Stafford is playing at the best level. Maybe he's played as a pro amazingly. Almost.
He really is.
So it's kind of counter to whatever I would think I'd be on the Rams, but I just have the feeling that the Bears are that Cinderella story this year, and they may not get any further than next week, because I think right now the 49ers and Seahawks are probably the two best teams in the conference. And that being said, I picked the Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl, but the 49ers get an awful lot of points in this game. I think that's going to be another really close one. So I would take the 49ers there. And, I like the Texans. I predicted on the starting lineup last week. You put me on the spot. I wasn't really prepared, but when you said who's going to win the Super Bowl, I just kind of marked out the Texans. That defense to me is so impressive. And I just think great defenses go a long way in these propositions. So, I like the Texans to end the Patriots' magical mystery tour, this great year that they've had. And it's great to see them being relevant again after 6 or 7 years of absolutely being dumpster fires. So that's some of my initial thoughts. These are all compelling games and they could go either way, and that's what makes the NFL great.
Yeah, and I'm happy in a weird kind of way for Bob Kraft to get back to his massage table and be a winner chicken.
Yeah. Bob, go back to Palm Beach and celebrate.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Massages for everybody. Come on, let's get it after it. No, I've been touting the 49ers for some reason. I don't know why. I've just been watching them. I think they go as far as McCaffrey goes. I know that the loss of Kittle certainly is going to hurt, and he's just all pro, great tight end. And I mean, he's just such a huge part of that. I know Brock loves to go to him, but I take them plus the 7.5. I do have the Pats minus the 2.5. I probably wouldn't play it, but I'm going to take a 50 spot from Legend. Hopefully, I like that 2.5, the 3.5. Probably not so much. I agree with you on the Rams and the Bears. The Bears has just been kind of. I remember that question ESPN threw out: are the Bears good? And they're like, what? And they're like 9-4. Are the Bears good? And we just couldn't figure out what this Bears squad was doing. Obviously, Williams is getting it done at quarterback. They continue to play above themselves, and here they have the Rams coming back to chilly Chicago. I have not looked at the weather to see what it's like there, but I would imagine mid-January is going to be kind of nasty up there. And then that Bills-Broncos games, I think, is going to be really,
I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that because Josh Allen is just unbelievable.
But is he enough, Kai, by himself to carry that squad and win on the road at the Broncos, where it's always difficult to play?
I don't know, it amazes me. We've been going almost 43 minutes, and all we've talked about really is national championship game. Now we're getting an NFL, and we could do this for 3 or 4 hours and talk, and it's still good. We haven't even talked about college basketball and the incredible slate of games just in the top 25 tomorrow. But, Kittle being out worries me, but I'm now more worried about this report with Sam Darnold hurting his torso, whatever he's done in here. I'm as concerned about that as anything. So right now I'm staying away from that game till I can see something, in there. I would probably go Seattle under 27.5 on their team total. Just last time these two teams played, low scoring game. I think that, how about it might be colder in the national championship game than every game except the Chicago game.
How about that?
Snow
in Miami.
In Miami. I love Denver in the situation. I've already bet it. I bet them at pick. It's at -1. I think Denver rolls. I think they win by at least a touchdown. Bo Nix at home. Last year, yes, he sucked in the playoffs, but it was his first year. He plays much better at home. I like Denver all around there, and I think over 23.5. I think 23.5 is a gift on a team total to go with that. I would take Houston and New England under 21.5 on their team total. I like Houston, the way their defense is playing. I really like D'Amico Ryans. I've hated the Patriots my whole life. But I love Vrabel, so that's difficult there.
Yeah, Vrabel's awesome.
And I looked. Sam Darnold. I'm flipping back. He's 28-6 over the last 2 seasons. 14-3 at Minnesota, 14-3 this year with Seattle. So that's hard to go against. But I don't know. New England does have a super easy schedule. We'll go with that. And the Rams have kind of a Miami thing going on, playing in the cold, going to Chicago. So if I can get 3.5 with the Bears, I think I take that also.
Okay. So, Case, what's your thoughts?
I agree with Kai. The Darnold report kind of concerns me. I've got 49ers futures that I still think don't really have much of a chance of cashing. They're just so beaten up. And I mean, Kittle's just just icing on the cake. Defensively, I mean, I've even heard people in the organization, there's been reports of just saying, like, we have no idea how we're getting this done. We're playing like practice squad guys. So I was kind of resigned to the fact that this was going to be the end of the Niners' incredible run. I mean, if they stayed healthy this year with what they've done, I think they're probably a Super Bowl team. But, with Darnold popping up as questionable with the oblique. Now, I know he came out and said he's still going to play, but who knows if he's not 100%. I don't know. That kind of opens up that one. This is the one side I have not bet, though. I think it's about right. But with the Darnold injury news, I'd probably lean a little heavier towards the 49ers. I will say my NFL picks column is up, so if you want to read me more in depth on all these games, you could go to Las Vegas Sun. But yeah, just the slightest lean to 49ers. Won't be betting that game. Hopefully you listen Tuesday for the next game on Saturday, because at the time Denver was still an underdog, and I said I made the game Denver -1.5. That's now what it is across the board. Doesn't seem like a big change, and it's not, but the margins are just so slim in the NFL this time of the year. I honestly I couldn't bet Denver as a favorite, but hopefully you were able to luck in that money line price. I mean, it's the same thing as last week. The Bills have by far the best player, a guy who can just put the team on his back and will them to a victory, and Josh Allen, which he did against the Jaguars, despite the Bills not being near as good as the Jaguars. They weren't as good in that game, but they have a fantastic player. And it's gotten me in trouble before. Maybe it's going to get me in trouble again. But man, you go like check marks across the field. The Broncos just have almost every single one of them, other than at quarterback. We'll see if Josh Allen can get it done again. But I took Denver at plus money at 1.5. I think it's right where it should be. I don't know. You can't be super excited to go against the Bills right now, but because of Josh Allen. But I just had to at the time. I already mentioned I bet Houston money line. I'm waffling a little bit on it. I hate that they're not going to have Nico Collins. You look at how their offense has been without Collins. It's been a lot tougher for them. I still think defensively they should be able to get after the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots have seen anything like this year. So I still think that the Texans have a pretty decent shot at the upset. But I've definitely eased on that one. In this last game, I know now it seems like I'm hedging on all these and not feeling as confident. I actually feel more confident the closer we get towards the Sunday night game. I just don't like this Bears team at all. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't like them at all. I think Caleb Williams is a future star, took a great step towards that this year. I think Ben Johnson is an incredible coach, just like I thought he would be. But their defense isn't very good. That they get in double-digit holes every single game and just somehow have these miraculous rallies. They've won 6 games. Where I know I've said this over and over. They've won 6 games where they're trailing inside the 2-minute warning. I mean, at some point that's going to run out. I know I've been stubborn betting against them constantly, but I was stubborn betting against the Chargers constantly, and it finally paid off in the wild card. I think the Rams are the best team man for man in the NFL. And if there's a time where it looks like the Bears' luck could run out, it would be now. I have no problem laying the 3.5 with the Rams because I just ultimately don't believe in this Bears team. I like them long term, but I think they're just playing above their heads so far this year.
And Kai, just so you know, we've got all of January, all of February, almost all of March and April. We're going to talk about hoops. We're going to get to all of it, but we got to give the kids what they want. We have a national championship game, obviously, on Monday. And
don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. I was actually saying it's good conversation, and
I'm looking forward to it, and I love it. And we'll go piece by piece because as these things drop off, then obviously the college hoops is going to buoy up, and so I can't wait to start because I'm a college hoops. Hell, I went to a college that didn't have a college football team. I went to Xavier, so I'm really looking forward to that. With that being said, we got 3 minutes left. Tell me what you're looking at. You mentioned top 25 action out there. You know what tomorrow?
I like Kai's team tomorrow against Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the lines, but they're just, I mean, let's just talk, to our audience that we talk to here. Just in the SEC top 25, you've got Kentucky at Tennessee, you got Alabama at Oklahoma, and then the SEC marquee matchup, Florida is at Vandy. So those are pretty strong, but you've got everybody in the top 25 playing this weekend. You've got an 11 versus 13 BYU at Texas Tech.
That's a good game.
Good. Arkansas at Georgia, which who would have thought Arkansas and Georgia both ranked coming in. And
Georgia lost a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
We got to show Tony and Santo some love. Miami at Clemson, big all of a sudden. I've been very impressed by Jai Lucas. He's been a really good coach. Miami's a lot better than I expected. Clemson always tough. That should be a good one as well.
Yeah. Who the number 23 team is? Who is the don't look, Case? Who is the weirdest top 25 team that has not been a top 25 team in college basketball in the last 10 years, but they're ranked right now?
Couldn't even tell you.
Georgia?
Utah State.
They're dominating the Mountain West. Yeah,
they are.
Okay. And we'll know more about Utah State coming up here the next few weeks. We get into March Madness. Great stuff, my men. Go enjoy your big game on Monday night. Go to K4Wins.com. K4Wins.com for all your plays. Everything from women's basketball to hoops to hockey to NHL to national championship game, NFL, you name it. We got you covered everywhere. We're very, very consistent. We're very good. All four of us get together and we go throughout the afternoon, play our games, and if all four of us agree on something, we hop on it. We get a pretty good stretch there. So check us out, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. God bless you guys. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Thank you, and thanks to Duncan, Dan, of course, everyone with the Coastal Sports Digital Network. We appreciate you guys as well. Thank you.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.